So I'm in Fordingbridge to see Sue Gough. This is a very nice part of town, really. My experience of Fordingbridge is working in Lloyd's just down the road during the 9/11, and all I remember was that we couldn't hear what was going on, but customers were coming in and they were saying things like, "Have you heard? Have you heard?" And we're like, What? We didn't realize how devastating it was. It was when I was going home at 5 o'clock. I turned on the radio that I realized how devastating things has been. And I always also remember Christmas in Fordingbridge. People go, and sing Christmas carol on the green. I remember stealing a few minutes from work to go and have a look at it, which is very nice.
It's a lovely place to live. I've been here since 2003. I lived in a flat first, just to get used to it, and then I bought this house. Okay. It's just a 3-bedroomed house, but it's absolutely full of antiques and fashion and Derek's model cars and things like that.
Yeah. So have you always been from Fordingbridge or from Hampshire?
No, I'm from the north.
I don't know where.
I'm from a place called York.
York, okay.
You heard of York?
Yeah, I studied in Sunderland. So
did you? Yeah. So did I.
Did you?
At the Polytechnic?
Well, it was when it was the university, the first time it was the university. So, okay.
A long time before you, probably. 84 to 87, I was there.
Yes, 87. Oh, yeah, I was there till 96, a bit later.
Yes, and Surinder Basan went there as well. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think he must have mentioned it.
Yeah, in the 70s. And Andy Fox.
Did he?
Yes. He was a year below me.
Amazing.
So lots of people from Sunderland.
Yeah.
Gosh, popular place.
Yeah. So yes, we're going to chat now about 1 or 2 questions on the interview, and then we'll take it from there. So does this dress match the age of the car?
The dress is a little bit older. Sorry, the dress is a little bit younger than the car. The car was registered in 1962 originally, and my dress is probably mid-60s. Okay. But I have got some older 60s dresses that I often wear when we go out in this car. We went to a vintage weekend a couple of weekends ago. We went to a place called Stockton Park, which is between Salisbury and Warminster. And they had a whole weekend of people dressing up in old things and having old cars and old caravans, and it's absolutely brilliant.
And you've got 3 cars, classic cars.
We have indeed.
Which one? What are they?
We've got the oldest car is an Austin A35, which is 1958, and it's Speedwell blue. It's quite a pretty colour. My husband's putting a new engine in it at the moment, so it's going to have a Morris Minor engine in it. And then this one is 1962, the Austin A60, Austin Cambridge, grey and cream. And then we have a 1966 Austin A40 Farina, which is a Countryman, so it's an estate version, and that's red with a black roof.
So where are we going?
We're going into the New Forest.
New Forest is a very nice, you've got a very idyllic place. So Fordingbridge is actually in the New Forest, isn't it?
Not quite, no. We're about 2 miles from the New Forest.
You've got a lot of very nice things around you here.
Yeah.
Things to do.
I love this house. This used to be the manor house, the sort of memorial court for the manor house in Burgate. It's a very ancient place, and we've still got 2 butchers, which is really good. Proper food, proper meat.
So if I was visiting Fording Bridge, what should I be looking at to do?
This bridge is quite famous. It goes over the River Avon, which goes all the way down to Christchurch. The old doctor's surgery was there before it moved into its modern premises. This bypass was put in the 70s. All the traffic used to have to go through Fording Bridge in the past.
Oh, right.
So it's better now that they've got the bypass. And then you're out into countryside.
Wow. And the weather has been very good today.
Yeah, we've been really lucky.
So we've travelled for less than 2 minutes and we're in the middle of the forest. Gosh.
This is called Dead Man's Corner.
Okay. Now, that's scary. Dead Man's Corner. Why is it just men dying here? That brings me to the question of the WI. You said earlier on that you were a avid member of Avon WI.
Yes, we've got two WIs in Fording Bridge. There's a daytime one and there's also an evening one called Avon, and I go to the evening one because I work full time. But it's a women's organisation that's been going in this country since the early 1900s, 1920ish I think, but it's originally started by a lady in Canada, and it does lots to improve things for women, but also they go to Parliament and tell the government if they're not happy with things that NICE is doing, or things that like the libraries closing, or school dinners, or midwives, or all sorts of things they get involved with.
So it's every wide-ranging things
Yes.
that sort of deals with women's issues, I guess.
Yeah, but also I suppose family issues as well.
Issues.
Yes.
So that brings me to Calendar Girls then. Is that what
Yes.
that is what that was all about, wasn't it?
It was to do with raising money, and they always had a calendar every year, and they shocked the neighbourhood by posing naked for their calendar, but it was all for good cause, and it's
Yeah, just that is it. Another thing is, because you said you're from York. Is it and watching Calendar Girl, there were people from the north of England. Did this WI take root in the north of England? Did you think, or was it? Is it?
I don't know.
Is it even across the UK, for example?
There's a lot of new ones starting in London. A lot of youngsters are getting involved, and they want to learn how to sew and to cook and to knit.
That is very
So there's
good.
a lot of new WIs happening in London. There's one called Shoreditch Sisters, which has been set up by a girl called Holly, who's the daughter of, I think, one of the drummer in the Clash, punk band in the late 70s, early 80s, and his daughters helped set up this WI, and they're teaching youngsters how to cook and sew and things like that.
That's very good. That's really good. So there's just breathing a new life into the organisation, I guess.
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's obviously a very busy place because lots of people are arriving at this place at the moment as well.
Yeah, a lot of tourists come here because it's obviously a pretty part of the world.
So, you seem to have, talking about tourists, you've travelled to a lot of places, haven't you?
I've travelled to some unusual places. I've got a friend who lives in the Falkland Islands. She's a midwife in the Falkland Islands, so she invited me over in 2001. And I went on my own. I went to the Falkland Islands for 2 weeks, and then I went to Chile for a week. And I travelled by bus and coach around Chile, and it was absolutely fantastic. We went to the Lake District, and it was absolutely beautiful. They've got these beautiful lakes and volcanoes, and it was really pretty, and lovely food, and also I've been to Pakistan.
Got to do all these unusual places.
In fact, I think it was 2004, 2005, something like that. I went to Pakistan,
What took you to Pakistan?
I went to stay with a friend's father, and I got treated like royalty. It was everywhere I went, I was given presents, mainly fabric, beautiful fabric to make things with, and also they gave us the best food, which was really odd. They wouldn't eat until we'd eaten, which, coming from this country to somewhere like that, it just seemed very strange. They were waiting for us to eat first. It was absolutely a beautiful place. I went to the northwest, not far from Peshawar, and I went up into the mountains where they've got monkeys and lots of nice place. But it was so high up that I had problems breathing, because I'm asthmatic, and I had problems breathing with the altitude.
It's quite odd, isn't it? That and what is happening there at the moment it's a shame.
Yes, and when I was there, although there was a military dictator, it was actually encouraging more women to stay at school and getting the women into college. And it seems a bit of a shame that now the things have changed, and I don't know whether things will go backwards.
Wasn't
yeah,
it?
that's right. He seemed to be doing more things for women, because you don't really see women around the streets, or if you go into a shop, it's all men behind the counter, or if you go to a hotel, everything's men. You don't really see that lot of women. But I was told that girls were being encouraged to stay on at school and go to university.
And then you went on a driving trip to Norway. That is fantastic.
Yes, we took our Austin Cambridge on holiday last year. We drove to Harwich and got a ferry over to Denmark, and then drove right up to the top of Denmark and got another ferry over to Sweden. Stayed in Gothenburg for 3 nights in an old ship, and then drove to Norway. And Norway was absolutely beautiful. It was May, and there was still about 10 foot of snow on the sides of the road. The roads themselves were clear, but it was bright sunshine, but really thick snow. And these empty roads, and had a wonderful time driving around and seeing some other places. Oslo is really beautiful. We saw
kind of lifestyle.
Yes, yeah, and we saw people skiing, and even little tiny children going out on their skis. And then we came back again through Denmark. And 2 years before that, we took our Austin A40 to Italy. And we drove through France and Switzerland to Italy, and then drove all the way down to the south of Italy on the Amalfi coast. We stayed in Sorrento.
That is
Just over the road from where we're standing, there's a valley, and during the Second World War it was used as for bombing practice, and they actually tested a prototype of the bouncing bomb here. There's not a lot to see now, it's all grown back over, but I'm told that just after the Second World War you could see bomb sites and machinery and things like that, but it's all grown over now, and even if you walk down there you can't really see anything.
Okay. I'm very scared now by walking across there now.
Then there's also lots of airfields in the New Forest in the Second World War. There was something like 13 airfields.
Right, I was told about that.
Which I found quite fascinating, that so much history on our doorstep. And if you go to Bewley, they've got a place where they trained spies during the Second World War, and there's an exhibition about espionage in the New Forest.
That's interesting. We've got a lot of history in the New Forest. Yeah?
There is, yes. Tell you,
What's that?
it's got a really long beak. I keep seeing one when I drive home from work. I keep seeing this bird called the curlew. Curlew. It's got a really long beak, and I suppose it's looking for insects, but there must be one nesting around here.
Is it very unusual?
Yes, it is. Just walking across the road
We're crossing the road to the bombshells. I hope we survive this.
Oh look, there's a buzzard just taken off.
Okay. So a bit of wildlife hunting then. Was that buzzard you said research?
Yeah, it's just
that's
on that tree. There's a few New Forest ponies down the bottom, you can just see. They're quite far away though.
New Forest, yeah,
There's ponies. We also get donkeys around here. Occasionally you see a mule. Sometimes you see little Shetland ponies as well.
Wow.
And often, not so much now, but earlier in the year, you often see deer crossing the road, quite big groups.
And the New Forest itself, it's available. People can just come in here, and at any time people are not being charged to use the facilities. Natural.
No, there's no charge for the car parks here. Not actually in the forest itself. There are in the town car parks, but not
so
out in the countryside.
There's what price for fresh air? Eh?
Yes.
It's all free. So it's quite a lovely place actually.
And it's so close to Southampton. You wouldn't think there's a major city just 20 miles up the road. I think by wearing old clothes, I'm sort of keeping them alive somehow, because people nowadays, they buy a dress one season and then they throw it away because the fashions change and there's no sort of sense of permanence or anything like that. Whereas if you buy something old, it's already been worn by somebody else, so somebody else's history is part of that outfit now. And if you buy an old handbag, sometimes it's got old things in it that somebody's used, like, for example, there might be a shopping list in it, or I bought a handbag and somebody had written the words to Amazing Grace out in nice handwriting, and they had that in their handbag. And obviously, I think they'd probably died, and there'd been house clearance people in, and they were selling this handbag at a car boot sale. And I bought quite a nice handbag for not very much money, but it had somebody's history with it. And I think that sort of connects me with the past. And it's the same with doing my family tree. It's a way of finding out where you've come from and what your family did in the past. And it's sort of...
So you could say that you couldn't, if you don't know where you're from, it'd be difficult to go forward. Is that right?
It could be, yes. Yes. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle. I like sort of filling in the pieces and finding out what people did and also where they lived, what sort of houses they would have had, how many people were in those houses. And it's really sad when you find out how many children died in as youngsters. My granddad had a younger sister, and I didn't know about her. Nobody spoke about her. And it wasn't until about 6 or 7 years ago that one of my mum's cousins said, "What about Margaret Jane?" And we found her, and she'd died of scarlet fever when she was 4. And that was during the First World War. And nobody spoke about her. So none of my cousins knew that my granddad had a younger sister.
That's, so really, it's just showing the profound nature of what you're doing, really. When I read about during the wars, what people have to go through, and many people dying, the nature of human beings, it's just throws up a lot of profound questions, and the very short nature of our life, effectively.
And we're still killing people in wars now, which is the sad thing, that we haven't learnt anything, and it's still going on.
Did you meet your Derek?
I met Derek through dancing. We were both going to Modern Jive independently, but we just happened to meet up one day at a dance class. And he said that the Fire Brigade Benevolent Fund was doing a charity evening, and there was a big band coming to play. So he invited me there, and we danced there. And we found that we had a shared interest in dancing and also in old cars, because he used to have a Morris Oxford. and just gone from there.
So, and do you go dancing very often?
We used to go once a week. We used to go to Minstead Village Hall, which has a really good dance floor. But we don't really manage it very often nowadays. We're busy with the cars, particularly in summer. We're busy with the cars. And Derek had to have an operation on his shoulder, so he's still in quite a bit of pain from that. So he can't manage it going to dancing very often at the moment.